about this work, you can go to tmicglobal.com and learn more about whole life architecture. Over the last few weeks since the beginning of the new year, we've been talking about creativity, and in particular, the last week or so, we've been talking about one of the aspects of creativity, which is our imagination. And our imagination, as I've been sharing, is a simulator in our brain that it's like C.S. Lewis said, whatever you can imagine can exist, or Pablo Picasso, who said, anything you can imagine has already existed. So our imagination is a powerful tool, and it's the tool that all creators have used throughout history. All creators have used their imagination to create the things that they create. All of the things that we take for granted as quote unquote real life, the chairs, the tables, the planes, the computers, the pots, the pans, everything we interact with and experience in the world without, also known as the world of effects, started as an idea in a creator's mind. Why do we reference it as the world of effects? Because it is the effect, the physical objects, the physical spaces, the systems and structures we interact with that occur to us as real life are the effects of an idea. The only thing that fundamentally and actually exists is an idea. Because it is an idea that leads to the things that get created and produced that we interact with that become the effect of the idea. So it's the world of effects. And so one of the things that we've been exploring as part of our meditation talks, and also in terms of the techniques of our meditations, we have two types of meditations. Incidentally, we have a watcher-observer meditation, and we have a meditation called neurosculpting. And the things that we are training our brain to be able to do with both of these meditations is to reconnect to our creator essence and to be able to create new possibilities for our life. Anything that you can imagine could be your reality, but it takes time for an idea acted on to then materialize in the world of effects. It's not instantaneous. In some cases, it can take minutes, seconds even. In others, it can take months or years. So time is the one thing we have no control over and never will. But what we do have control over is our imagination, is the life of our mind, is our mind diet. And so one of the things that we started to do on Monday was a visualization meditation, and we're going to carry that forward today. So in different to the normal observer-watcher meditations that we do, I'm going to invite you to get more active in your thinking this morning and to take your imagination and bring it online so that we can begin to practice the power of visualization, which is a technique that turns the imagination on and allows us to go into new ideas, new worlds of possibilities for our life. Being the new year, it's habitual for people to want to set New Year's resolutions, but New Year's resolutions, as we've discussed over the last few weeks on and off, are really an irrelevant and useless activity. Because the problem is that the subconscious mind that all of us have is the operating system, is the architecture and environment in which the life of our ideas is swimming. And that environment is not conducive to new ideas that are wildly outside of what the architecture and environment is pulling for. And so the way to change our life is to work on the architecture and environment of our mind, of our thinking. And so this is where visualization becomes a really powerful technique to very slowly and over time nudge the architecture and environment of our mind, the life of our mind, into a place that is conducive to the kind of life we would want to be living or the things we would want to be doing in our life in the world of effects. So it begins with re-architecting the way we think, which begins with using the techniques of the watcher-observer meditation technique, the visualization techniques, the neurosculpting techniques, which helps our brain become, it helps develop more neuroplasticity so that our brain is not so rigid and fixed and habituated. And these three things working together, if you practice them, if you put the time and energy into them, will eventually transform your perception of what's possible. Before that, it will actually transform your beliefs. When it transforms your beliefs, it'll transform what you perceive. Once it transforms what you perceive, then you will take action on it and it will exist outside of yourself in the real world. And then you can apply any meaning you want to whatever's happening out in the outside world. But everything begins with an idea and a belief about that idea, which leads to new perception, which leads to new action, which leads to an external experience, a world of effects experience of the thing. So let's use an example. Someone wants to build a house. First, you have to have an idea of what that house will look like, where it will be, how will the rooms be set up, what might the furniture look like. You have to have that as an idea before you can then lean into those ideas and ground yourself in the belief of this as a real possibility, which occurs to you the more you spend time inside of your simulator, your imagination simulator. You'll start to believe this house is real. And the more you believe that house is real, the more your external actions will start to conform and be congruent with your belief system. So we act in accordance with our belief system, and our belief system is encoded with the life of our ideas, and we are the creator of those ideas. So these techniques are designed to help you transform the life of your mind, the architecture of your mind, so that you can actually create a different life for yourself in all or part of it. So this morning, what we're going to do is a visualization meditation. I'm going to invite you to get really comfortable, seated in an upright position. And I'm going to invite you to consider one area of your life, one aspect of your life. Don't take it all on, it'll be too overwhelming. Maybe it's an area where you're in complaint. Maybe it's an area where you wish something or someone or some circumstance was different. And I'm going to invite you this morning as part of the visualization to imagine that area in terms of how you would create it to be so that it is in perfect alignment with you. Maybe you're not living where you want to be living. Maybe your job isn't the job you want to have. Maybe your business isn't working out the way you wish it was. Maybe you have health situations that you're dealing with. I want to invite you to pick one of those areas and one sort of area within those areas, if you can get that minute. The more specific and minute you can be, the better. And your task during this meditation, this visualization meditation, is to envision in your imagination how that area that you choose would be if you created it by design. Whatever that means for you, I can't get more specific because it's going to be different for everybody. And I want you, for the time of the visualization, to go into as much detail as possible. Imagine that house. Imagine living in that new part of the world. Imagine having that relationship. What are the details of that relationship? Who is the person? What are they like? Imagine yourself healthy, if it's health that you're dealing with. Whatever the area of your life, pick one small area And I want you, through this visualization time, to envision it as you would create it, as you will create it for yourself. Go into all the details. See if you can even turn your senses on. Can you smell it, taste it, hear it, touch it, feel it? See if you can get that granular. Now, some of you might struggle with this. It's not easy to bring our imagination online after we've been conditioned to turn it off for decades. All of us are naturally born creators. When we were born, when we were children, we played innately. No one had to teach us how to play. We imagined, we invented, we fantasized. We did this naturally. This was conditioned out of us. And yet it's the superpower that makes us human, because humans are by their very nature creators. The whole world is created. People who did not succumb to their conditioning created the things that most of us are just consuming as reality. But we too are those same creators. We have the ability to create whatever we can imagine. The problem is, for most people, their imagination is totally turned off. The closest most people get to imagining anything is wishing something were other than it is. But they're unclear and not detailed with what they would imagine that thing they're wishing would be different, how it would be. So this is going to take some work and some effort to bring your imagination back online, and the only way to do it is through these kinds of practices, these visualization practices, the watcher-observer meditation practice, the neural sculpting meditation to start to condition your brain for greater neuroplasticity, which is acceptance of things that are new, acceptance of change, being able to be with and even embrace and thrive in the midst of change. That requires neuroplasticity. So this morning, it's a very simple task, but very difficult for most of us because we have been trained to ignore and turn our imagination off. So for the next few minutes, be seated, be comfortable, take a few deep breaths, have that part of your life you're going to imagine what it would be like and what you would create if it were the way you would create it, whatever that means. And you're going to imagine it, and you're going to go into as much detail as possible. See if you can find yourself in a world of your own creation in that area. Remember, the brain doesn't know the difference between a simulation and the real world. How do we know this? We train airline pilots in simulators. They go in to a simulator. They drive there with their coffee. They walk in, they sit down. They're, in effect, in a glorified video game, and yet they still have the same heart palpitations, nausea, sweating profusely, as they would if they were in an actual tail dive or some other emergency situation. The brain doesn't know the difference. You have a simulator in your mind, in your brain, called your imagination. The brain doesn't know the difference. If you practice this, just like a pilot in a flight simulator, if you go into your simulator, into your imagination every single day and spend a profound amount of time there, you will start to see your life shift. Not magically, it's just you will start to perceive things you never saw before, though they've always been there. Because your belief systems are changing, because your ideas are changing, because you are being the architect of your ideas, of your imagination. So for the next few minutes, focus on that area. Imagine what you will create it to be like. Get as detailed and granular as possible. And if you find at the end of this that it was hard, you couldn't sit still, your mind kept drifting, that's okay. That's what's going to happen until it doesn't. It takes consistency. No different than learning how to ride a bike. If you quit the first time because you fell off, you would never learn how to ride a bike. These are the techniques that will teach you how to be a creator again. So for the next few minutes, let's enter that simulator in our mind. And let's imagine that part of our life that we will recreate for ourselves in as much detail as possible. And I'll see you all in a few minutes. And welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the world without, to the world of effects, to the world of other people's creations, which began in their imagination. Whatever your experience was this morning with this visualization, maybe it was easy for you, maybe it was challenging for you. If it was challenging, don't let it discourage you. Stick with this. Invite others. Invite others to join us and join you in these meditations, these visualizations. Because the more people that start to align around this kind of work, you can support one another. If it was difficult, don't give up. And if you found it easy, good for you, keep going. The more you do this, I promise you, the more you'll start to see the world of effects, the world without, start to transform in your life. I want to wish you all a wonderful day, and we will continue our work tomorrow with a guided neurosculpting meditation.